Did you go to each one of the other three individually, like on the phone, call them up and say, what do you think about this?
I think I called Ted, but the other two, I think it's hard to say no in person. So I've waited till I saw him in person. So yeah, I think I saw Coach in Vegas as well. But I knew for the event to take, we need to be able to get all three here. So Coach Williams actually committed, and then I tried to run him down for about a week, and he was on vacation, and I'm like going, what's going on here? And then I saw him on the road the next week, and he said, Bill, I told you I'm in. We're good. So all the coaches didn't hesitate at all to come do this.
Do you have one or two favorite games in Allen Fieldhouse that stick out for you?
Well, I told this earlier. I think the one that goes about, hasn't been talked about at all. You talk about all the great opponent performances in the building, and nobody ever talks about it. I actually got 12 here my freshman year, so that would be one that really sticks out to me. But I would say honestly that the games that stick out most, the Missouri game, obviously the last Missouri game, Texas when it was a winner take all. Last game of the season, and they had us down big, and Tyshawn made a ton of plays to bring us back to win it. There hasn't been very many games that's better played than the Oklahoma State-Kansas game back in Simeon and Miles and Langford's senior year. That was an unbelievable game. I think the first half we had 6 possessions where we didn't score, and they had like 9. I mean, it's an unbelievable basketball game. But I would say those two. We're down when Mario and those kids were freshmen, and we were trying to find our way. We're down 17 to a highly rated Oklahoma team with about 9 minutes left, and came back and won that game. So there's a lot of great memories, but I'd say those are probably 4 that stand out to me.
In that Texas game when Durant got hurt and then came back on, and the reception he got from this field house, does that tell you a lot about what this place is like?
During the game with Texas, when Kevin was here, they had DJ Augustine, that was a terrific player, and of course Damian James, that was a terrific player, and AJ Abrams, but Kevin was probably as good as he'd been all year that first half, and we couldn't guard him. We had lottery picks, Brandon Rush, Julian Wright trying to guard him, and couldn't do anything. And I got mad, and I turned to Danny when they have us down about 15 in the first half, and he said, "Hey, that's just a bad man right there." So nothing we were going to do was going to stop him. And then he tweaked his ankle, went and got it retaped, and came back in. Our fans, gave him a big ovation, which I thought was really cool. And it was so cool it registered with Kevin, because I saw Kevin a couple years ago, and he said that was one of the coolest moments he had as a player, is when the Allen Fieldhouse fans, of course, they get it. They knew that they were witnessing greatness, and it was good to see them respond the way they did.
Bill, of all the crazy stats around here, 8 coaches in 100+ years or whatever, what's the bond like when you guys get together, and is there things that they can only Coach Williams or Coach Brown can understand?
I would say if you coach at any place, there's probably things that only guys that have coached there could understood. It doesn't matter if you're coaching at K-State, Missouri, Wichita State, Kansas. I'm sure there's things about that, about the fan base, about the building, about whatever. But I think this place is more unique, because I think when you've only had 8 coaches, I think the responsibility of being the caretaker takes on a whole different meaning, and it's something that you really take great pride in. There's a lot of people that work at their job and live in a place. But I don't think that anybody that's been one of the 8 head coaches would think that this was a job, and I would think they all thought this was the greatest place. So at least from a basketball standpoint. So I think it is different and unique from that perspective.
You won the national title in 2008. Oklahoma State came at you strong. How much was a factor of tradition in Allen Fieldhouse in that decision?
Tom, I don't think that was a factor at all. I don't think you would ever stay for a job because of a building. But I think you stay for it, but it all ties in. The building ties into to the love of the place and how the players are treated and how everybody's received here. That is a way of life. There's so many things that ties in indirectly because of the building, that's what makes it difficult to ever leave or want to leave, is because you know that there's no place or very few places out there that you can recreate what you have here. So I guess indirectly it would play a role, but from a direct standpoint, I think that the way that the people treat you here probably was more of a pull than anything else.
What are you expecting out there tonight? What's it gonna be like?
Well, I'm sure, I think Bud Stallworth is introducing Coach Owen, so I'm sure he'll talk about his 50-point performance against Missouri. So I definitely expect that. Yeah, well, to hear him tell his story, it'd probably go basket by basket. But I think it'll be a great night. One that'll be pro everything. It's a non-competitive night. We're not trying to get each other's players. Or get each other's recruits. We don't have to scout the other team. I'll go home and feel good about everything happening here, and I'm sure Roy and Ted and Larry will as well. But it's a great way to pay homage to a building and to think about it. And other schools can do maybe something similar, but 1915, 12-5, 51 of the 60 years, and of course Coach Owens was assistant coach for I think 6 of the other 9 years or 5 of the other 9 years. Since the building's been built, but to have only 4 coaches in 51 years coach at a place and have the 4 coaches experience the success that they've had and represent the school in the way that they did. I think this is a very unique night and a unique opportunity for our fans to kind of relive some great memories.
Bill, can you talk about the significance of the recent changes you've had, the bells and whistles on this great historic building, and how that's made it even better for you, perhaps?
Well, I think that, there's certain things that, if you build a building 60 years ago, think of the forethought that Warren Corman and his guys had in building a building that would withstand the test of time. But of course, when you do, to redo it, you change codes and there's a lot of things that have to happen. And that would definitely compromise the integrity of the way the building was originally meant to be built. So what we've done and what a lot of bright minds have done is taken a very historic place, a treasure, and add all the modern amenities that the new arenas have across America. And we're not as modern as some, but that doesn't mean we can't get there. And I think there's talks of even doing some things to get there from a technology standpoint. But there's very few people that once you walk into the door can experience the game day atmosphere of what we can do here in Allen Fieldhouse, from the Hall of Fame, from the new DeBruce Center being built that's going to house the rules, from the pre and post game reception type areas to the locker room facilities, to going into a building that, as Jay Bill has said earlier, has soul, and Blair Kirchhoff said a long time ago, the walls still sweat. There's not very many buildings that you can do that, and I haven't been to all of them. Haven't been to Cameron, haven't been to Palestra, but I think it'd be very difficult for anyone to rival what this building has and what it will have, upon the completion of the DeBruce Center. I think it's just going to be off the charts good, and a building that the way it's built and the way it's been presented now, that it may be the basketball arena 50, 100 years from now as well.
Do you think you'll go as long as Coach Brown has as a coach? And what do you think of his coaching currently at SMU?
My only prediction on that is I'm hoping that he'll retire before I do. That's about as far as I go. But I won't do what Coach has done. Coach is, he's a basketball genius, and he's forgotten more ball than I'll ever know, and he's doing such a great job at his age, and he's got, I'm sure a few to several more years in him, and I can't see doing it. I can't see doing it that long. But I certainly hope that I can do it for quite a while longer.
Do you remember maybe when this idea was pitched or how this came about and how maybe long ago it was?
Well, it really came about was with, we've been talking about with the group, how do we raise money for our foundation? And certainly Cindy and I, we do big fundraisers every other year, and we haven't done anything this year to generate significant funds, and we wanted to do something, and we came up with the idea about this, and coincidentally the 60th year we didn't even know about tied into this, and so that made it that we were able to set the hook with the other coaches because of that, and basically we just did it for a way to raise money for charity, and all the coaches' respective charities of their choice will benefit from it, obviously, but I was thinking selfishly for my foundation, our Assist Foundation. And then after we kind of got into it, I said, nah, let's just raise as much money as we possibly can for charities and let it go to different places wherever people want it to go. And I think it's been, very well received. And of course, our fans are unbelievable. We sold out the tables in a day and a half. Try selling 52 tables in a day and a half, and you don't even open it up to the public. And so it's been pretty special, and we'll do a lot for a lot of people, I think, through this.
When you have recruits in for a game day, obviously they're blown away by the atmosphere and everything, but if they come in on a non-game day, have you ever heard a kid say, well, this place is really old?
Yeah, well, we have. Yeah, we've but this was and I'm sure our fans, they won't want to hear this, but they'll agree. Going back to 2003 to 2007 or what, this was a tired building. It needed a pick-me-up. It needed an energy boost, and through the Ward family and through so many others, we were able to get that, and it's so unique now that we can actually bring a kid in during a non-basketball weekend or whatever, and he is blown away by the facility still. Not from a modern standpoint, but from this is about as classy as you can do. It's not over the top, but it's still, our players have everything that anybody at any place could ever want. So we've done enough to make it where it's a very attractive place even when it's not full.
Coach, what's the most memorable advice that Larry Brown has given you while you're assistant coach for him?
Well, he's given me, I'd say this, Coach is great, and those of you that's been around him, he doesn't remember any times that he was ever mean. I mean, he only remembers the time where he was nice. And he's traveled with us, and he's like going, God, I never heard of anybody talk to their team like that. And Danny and them would say, what are you talking about? You were 10 times worse than, but he doesn't remember that. So, but the best advice that he gave me, one of them was, we had just beat Cincinnati when I was at Tulsa to go to the Sweet 16, and they were loaded. That was the year Kenyon got hurt, but they still had an unbelievable team. And our Tulsa team beat them pretty good and looked pretty good doing it. And he called me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in a year, so he called me out of the blue, and, hey, I like your team, blah, 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 blah. I really like that one kid. Hey, if he needs a tryout, I'll take him. I mean, just does stuff like that all the time. But he said, I want you to do one thing for me, and you got to do it. And I said, name it, Coach. I'll do it. He said, I don't want you to get on another kid for the rest of the year. I don't want you to frown. I don't want you to have bad body language, and everything out of your mouth is positive. And I said, this is from Coach Brown, that Piper and Manning and Turgeon would tell you he was the polar opposite. Nothing was positive and everything was critical. And I said, yeah, why is that, Coach? He said, because if your kids didn't care that much, there's no way they'd be where they'd be. And that was his way of saying, hey, take the pressure off of them. And that was great advice, because I realized then that, you know what, we need to enjoy this. And it gave us a much better chance to make a run, because there is a different pressure, as you all know, and I know firsthand going further in the tournament, that players feel that they've never felt before. And so that was great advice.
Anything else, guys?
We're going to take the picture in here.
Thanks, Coach.
And so the other coach.
What I say earlier, Coach Brown is the nicest man that I've ever met in my life.